So welcome to the final day and the final workshop of the Littlescribe Mini-Writing Festival. What a week. We really hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have. Our authors and illustrators definitely have. We've learnt so much. And I know because a lot of your teachers and you are already uploading your writing to your Littlescribe library or sending us your work. I know what an impact this week has had on you and your writing and inspiring you, which is what it's all about. This afternoon, I am very excited to welcome Andrew Daddo and Stephen Michael King. Not just yet. We'll get to them in a minute. And it's going to be another really great session. So make sure you've got pencil and paper with you because you'll get to write and draw and learn some tips and tricks. And yeah, get some writing challenges to continue with. Remember, we really want to know who you want to read your writing. I got sent a picture of, I've been sent quite a few pictures, but one brainstorm on a whiteboard from a school and my name had made it onto the list, which has just made my week. So I will be so excited to read your writing. Make sure you send those in so we can see them. Now, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, I think, behind me, of something I've been talking about all week. And there it is. So this is the story starter wall. Now, I know you can't see it really clearly, but you can get an idea of what it's going to look like when you upload your work to the story starter wall. This will sit on a website, so you will have the web address to be able to send to people so they'll see it. Your teachers next week will get all of the instructions they need to help you to do this. But you can see this has got kids writing and drawing on the page, sitting alongside work of authors that you know and love. If I move my shoulder, you can see Atticus and Tasticus poking up there too. And when you click onto the work, it flips around and we can see the name of the student who wrote that or drew that piece of work, who you want to read your writing, and your favourite author. So what an amazing collection and celebration of all your work. So that's where you're going to be seeing the work from kids around the country from next week. Anyway, let's get back to it. I have the absolute pleasure today of welcoming two of my most favourite people in the children's author and illustrator world, and that is Andrew Daddo, who's sitting next to me, and Stephen Michael King, who's joining us today as well.
Hi.
Now, Andrew.
Hey, Stephen.
Okay, all right. How you going, Mr. Daddo?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Same as always. Yeah, traveling.
So I'm going to start by asking each of you, because if I don't do this, the kids in the chat start telling me I've forgotten. So I'm going to ask for each of you to choose 3 of your favourite words that you like to use in your writing. Maybe they're around a particular theme, they're things that maybe invoke ideas for kids, because then we're going to challenge all the kids watching to use those words in their own writing. So I'll go to you first, Andrew. Can you pick 3 words?
Good afternoon first. How are you? How good's this? All right, 3 words that I really like. One is stuff, because it's a very broad word, right? It looks good on the page. You've got those 2 beautiful F's and the curly S. So I love stuff. Given what we're talking about today is plot and the idea of trying to work on how to extend and make a plot bigger. I love the word creek, but not creek. Well, it could be creek as in something that you would jump over or paddle in, but I was thinking C-R-E-A-K, so creek. So creek. It's because we're pretty much talking pirates today. And the 3rd word that I really love is treasure, right? So treasure is treasure is whatever is in the eye of the beholder, but it's something beautiful. It's something to strive for. It's something to fight for. It's something to go through dangerous things to get, possibly, or it's something you stub your toe on and you don't know who you've stubbed your toe. Do you know what I mean? So stuff, because you need stuff to do things. Creek, because a creek is the sound of, well, danger. I mean, it could be danger, it could be something good happening, and then treasure. And whenever I do treasure, and you do that now. Do it with your classroom. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Treasure. Did you do it? You left me hanging, didn't you? Should we try it again? 1, 2, 3. Treasure. Beautiful.
Okay, I think I better get my best pirate voice ready for this afternoon. What about you, Stephen? If you had to choose 3 words that you like to use in your writing or that mean something that you want the kids to be thinking about today, what would they be?
Oh, right. Things that kids want to be thinking about today. No, I don't think a lot, which sounds odd. I do, but I think in pictures more than, and I think I drove Andrew crazy when he first met me. He'd go, oh man, I've got this idea, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What do you think? And nothing would come out of my mouth because I think my brain does. Brain doesn't go to my mouth, goes somewhere down this arm, back to this arm, to my drawing hand. But words I love, look, nothing to do with pirates, but maybe in a future book, I don't know. But I've always loved the word zoo, only because it has that sharp Z and then 2 beautiful round O's. And so maybe that's a visual artist guy, but I love it. And I love the sounds, that sharp Z and that beautiful O at the end. I always loved vagabond, which maybe that's pirate, but that's a person with no apparent means of income, which probably has been me at times, being some kind of artist. So, you know, my mum and dad had plenty to worry about. And I love it. I definitely got to use it in book way back when, and I just love that word. And then it's similar, I think Andrew saying stuff, I love thing, you know, thing. And a lot of people go, oh, thing, you've got to change thing. Like, what is that thing? Can you tell us what that thing is? And I just love thing. It's like, no, I don't want to tell you what that thing is. It's a thing. That thing is doing this thing. So, and I like all those kind of upside down words, upside down. You know, I can't think, you know, right way round, topsy-turvy, things like that. That's probably where I'm at.
Oh, I love it. So, what, zoo, thing, vagabond,
Upside down,
topsy-turvy, and all of those kind of words.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting words. We could almost play a game, like pick the words and make
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to hand over to Andrew and Stephen today. They have obviously partnered together on the amazing Atticus Tasticus books. Andrew's going to talk a little bit about those. I can see him excited with a new book in his hand.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk to you all today about plot. Now, we've done lots of work throughout the week on characters, on using past, like true stories in the past in your writing, on writing about social justice and different themes. So today's going to be focused on plot and what adventures can you take your characters on. So Andrew and Stephen, I'll hand over to you.
Good on you. Thanks, Joe. All right. So look, this is the brand new Atticus Fantasticus. It arrived in the post last night. Have you got yours, Stephen?
Oh, I haven't, no.
Oh, okay. Stephen, okay. Stephen lives on an island, right? Where the post is very, very slow. So,
yeah, very, very slow. Yeah.
The thing, so there's three of these books. So what happened was this. At the very beginning, I only had the very start of the story. So I had the idea, which was pretty straightforward. So it was, there's a kid, he gets a hold of a pirate ship and he decides, but it's in the 1700s. So this is just that starting plot idea. I just knew I wanted a young man, a 10-year-old, for instance. I wanted him to get a ship and then I wanted him to go pirating. So that was the simple plot. Then I told Stephen the idea. And Stephen, what did you say?
What did I say? I'm busy? Is that what I said? No, I don't know what I said. You tell me. You're going to have to tell me what I said. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. A lot of what we do is creative play. So to me, the idea of plot is building a sandcastle on the beach, and then, you know, you have to have a bit of tension so the tide's coming in, the waves are coming, and then, you know, there's all sorts of wonderful things that can happen. But ultimately, I think for you too, I think you really want to create a good, engaging story. So I don't know whether you plan things and you do whatever, but I have to say I plan nothing. I just kind of love writing. I write stuff all the time. So it's going to be hard for me to tell you what my plot is. My wife would tell you I have no plot in life at all. I just wander along. Yeah.
Let's leave Trish out of it. So what Stephen said then is really interesting. And so because I mean, Stephen's a trained illustrator. I'm not a trained writer, but it's that thing about having something to happen next and then to have a tension around what's going to happen. So the example then of a sandcastle and then the tension of the tide coming in. So something either good or something bad is going to happen. And it's exactly the same thing for Atticus. So he gets a ship and then he goes sailing and then he realizes that he has literally no idea how to sail. So he gets himself a crew. And then with a crew, they go into the ocean and then literally that plot is something's got to happen. So there's a stack of different ways to do it. I write, I don't make many, sometimes I do a note. I do like on a clear page, I'll do things of what I think I might like to happen. So a storm, and then what would a storm have? So storm would have a lightning, and then it turns out there's a guy on the ship called Lightning Rod, and Lightning Rod loves fire. So he just wants the storm. So he's there at the front of the ship in the highest part going, come on, storm, come on, hit me with your best shot. And then there's other people at the back of the boat going, no, like this. So there's that tension that Stephen's talking about. So the first thing with plot is, if you don't know the end of the story, don't panic. If you get stuck with a story, make something happen. And one of the ways to make something happen is by drawing pictures. So, you might go, there's a storm and I want it to kind of look like this. Now, I'm really lucky to have Stephen to work with, because I might say to him, I want to have a giant wave or something, or I want to have a rock that looks like something else, but I want it to be a sort of a joke. So, so I have a rock like that. You see that rock? Does that look like anything else? This is one of my favorite pictures in the whole of the third book. Because there's a guy and he says, keep sailing until you find big crack rock, right? Because it's not, and everyone goes, but doesn't that look a bit like, and he goes, doesn't look like anything except a rock with a crack in it, which is fine. So the idea, and then Stephen takes control and then he makes it work. So Stephen, so I write quite quickly and delete what I think are the bad ideas. What Stephen does is he draws. Well, explain how you draw, Stephen. How do you build a drawing?
Maybe I'll just show you. I'm a scribble guy. So where Andrew's talking about planning and plotting, that's pretty well, I go idea, and then often I'm doing arrows, I write stuff, I draw something, dog maybe, dog's got one eye, patch, dog, pirate kind of dog, maybe a cutlass in his mouth. So that a lot of my planning is scribble and arrows. I get a new idea here and I go down there. And so, and if I could show you my journals, which I don't have my journals with me at the moment, but all my journals are this kind of beautiful mess. And it's about pulling my ideas together and throwing them around. It's almost like, a card game, 52 pickup. You just kind of go, boom. And how do you bring them all back together? How do you make this thing work? How do you create the tension? Andrew is really clever in this bit. Like, he's really funny, but he's got this great, for me, I love reading his stuff where he can just turn something so fun, or he can take something so funny, he can stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and squeeze the joke forever. But then he can just turn it and make it this beautiful, he just pull a really beautiful sentence out of the air and makes you go, ah. And so I love that. That's something I would plan for, is I love changing someone's emotions. So I love turning, say, day to night, or happiness to sadness and I love doing that within a turn of a page. And Andrew does it in a turn of a sentence. He'll even you know, I think you can even do it in one sentence. I don't know. And it's where I'm going with this, because I never really know the end. For me, writing a book is almost like reading a book where you don't know the end. I've met authors who plan every little step, but when I'm writing, I love to be surprised myself. I go, oh wow.
So, Steve, yeah. Well, there's a really good expression, which is no surprise for the writer, then no surprise for the reader. So if you surprise yourself as a writer, like, you know, you think they're going to, like, there's a storm and they have to sink, because you know in your mind, the storm has to be so big, they have to sink, and then they don't sink. And then you go, huh, you go, oh, I thought they were going to sink. Or you think they have, or you're sure they're going to sink, and they might bash into something, or there might be a whale and the whale rises. And so it's all about making the next thing happen. But what I'm curious to know, because when Stephen did I sent him the first 6 chapters, he did the drawings. And when I saw his drawings, then I knew it was a better idea than I thought, because I could see it. It's really fantastic to see Stephen build an illustration. Why don't we do this as an exercise? So you've got a ship, okay? So there's a couple of things. One, you've got a ship. You can describe the ship later, right? You can work out what it looks like, whether it has 3 masts or 2, whether there are 30 pirates or there are 10 pirates. That's entirely up to you. But we need something to happen to that ship. So there's the ship, there's an ocean, if it's on an ocean, and then what can happen to get you to the next part? I'll give you a couple of things to think about. Could it be another ship? Could it be 2 ships? Could it be an island? Could it be a cliff? Could it be a whale? So there's 5 or 6 things you can think about the ship can go into, and then the next part of the story can then happen. Doing your light version first?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do your light, but you know how you do a messy and...
Yeah, I do it all messy. So you're talking about rocks, you're talking about whales, ship. So everything for me is really scribbly. I don't like to lock any of my ideas down. It really is just playing with things. So ship. Andrew was talking about a whale. Quite like the idea of maybe the ship being on top of a whale. So I'll bring my C down. A few clouds. And then so I'm just sort of scribbling away, thinking, and then I go in and I refine. So everything starts kind of pretty loose. And my writing would be the same. If I'm writing a story, I just, bad poetry, bad sentences, no full stops, forget capital letters. It's all about then, like, I get my idea down as quick as I can, and then I just start going in and tidying up, adding details, switching sentences around.
Stephen, when do you said that when you begin, you don't lock anything down. So at what point in an illustration do you lock things down?
Often there's layers of scribble. So if I'm not really sure what I'm doing, I will draw in a really light coloured pencil, like yellow or orange to start with. And then I will go to red scribble on top of that. And then I'll go to blue or purple scribble. Locking it down is when I get my black pen out. And then there's layers after that too. Then it goes through a light box. I draw it onto nice paper, and then it gets scanned. It's constant layers and layers. I think, we've said before, there's 536 illustrations in Atticus, but for me to do that, there's about 2,000 roughs. So
you do 2,000 rough drawings for 500. So what happens to all of your rough drawings? Where do they go? And how much are you selling them for? And why haven't I got any?
Just in a pile in the studio. I think hold on. There you go. Here's a pile of Atticus art.
Wow.
I think, hold on. I think this is a mixture of your writing, but you can see my notes on top of yours. So this is the manuscript that comes to me, and when I'm reading it, I'm drawing little things on top of you can see crack, and that's similar. That's your manuscript with me already doing pencil sketches.
Wow.
Sketches on top of manuscript, and then finished. Let me find a finished.
And what? Just while you're doing that, Stephen.
But there, that's.
Oh wow.
That's then sort of inked.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that what I love about working with Stephen, and what I think for you guys when you're doing your stories, and I know you're writing and illustrating the stories, the illustrations aren't always about exactly what the words say. The illustrations are actually about what the words don't say. So it might say, there was a crack at the back of the ship, but you don't need to show the crack. You might show someone's reaction to the crack. So then when someone's reading the story, they go, there's a crack at the back of the ship. Things were starting to go bad, but you see a picture of someone going, or, eek, or whatever they're doing. And then suddenly, so now we've got two things. We know that from the words, things are going bad, but we can see how bad they're going by the reaction from one of the people. And that's the sort of thing that will further a plot. Because if I see a picture from Stephen and it's someone, going like this, I think, wow, what if that character, for instance, what if they wet their pants? And then, for instance, right, because they're so scared, and then could that become a different part of the story? Could something attack that's allergic to scared kid pants or something? You know what I mean? And on it goes. So you never discount in your stories what could happen, because the next little tiny thing could lead to a really, really big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't hear a word you said.
He never listens.
I'm sure it was ridiculous.
So we've asked the kids to come up with a couple of ideas for the next part of the story. So I can see them. Scribbling away. So I think, did we ask them to draw a ship?
I'd actually really love to see what your pirate ships would look like. Because, so for instance, for Atticus, there's the Grand Nan, which is Atticus's ship. There's the ship of his nemesis, who could well become more than his nemesis, who knows? And then there's a Viking ship as well. And so and Stephen gets to choose exactly what everything looks like. He has all the power in the visuals of the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll give you a couple of minutes. I can see some kids are holding their work up already. A couple of minutes, draw your ship. Maybe give us a clue to the next part of the story. And it just draw quickly. Let's draw Stephen style. And we'll do a quick zoom around the country to see some of your ideas.
Wow. That's great.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's great. Oh, wow.
Oh, tip it round.
How good is this?
Yeah.
See, and I'm good at sideways, upside down, and the front. Yeah. Can I that's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Great. Well,
wow.
Complicated and fun.
Wow. Look at that. In record time. Amazing.
I know the illustrator in the making there. Speed is my business. That's good.
Yeah, fantastic.
Wow, how good's that?
So in that one there, you can see there's three different levels. There's the rope to climb up. There's the netting and things like that. So all those things inevitably add to your plot, because if they climb up the rope and they fall off, or if something's attacking them and everyone gets to the top of the ship, the balance of the ship is moved. So the ship starts to teeter like this. And then whatever the bad thing in the water is goes to where it's coming down. And you've got the kids all going, Do you know what I mean? So really, it's just when you get stuck in doing the plot, make something happen, and then you'll get to a point where, there'll be theoretically a logical end to the story. Now, is there such a thing as a logical end, Stephen?
A logical end. Well, logic is my business, but look, I think all that everyone's showing is what they're showing is really inventive, and I think, we can go, oh, we're authors and we're illustrators, but I think in a way we're kind of inventors. We're pulling this thing from nothing, and we're making something, and we want to make it feel alive, and we want to make it feel real, and so I kind of think it is a bit like that, building Meccano or Lego. If people watch Lego Masters, which I was mad for, that unknown. You maybe can have an idea of a character or whatever. For me, that's what I'm searching for, and I guess that's what you're going, here's a ship, and how do you get from A to B? Does it even have to be a ship, or does it? I love all that stuff. If anything's too locked down, I don't know, my ideas stop flowing. So it has to be a certain amount of freedom and joy in the unknown. That words are blocks. Just think of them. Oh, I need a blue block here. I need the green block. I need the Lego brick with the 12 things on it, and then I need a round one with a. That's constantly what we're doing. I think that's what we're doing, and ultimately what Andrew does too, which I think ultimately any good story has to have heart, and I think he really nails this beautiful, beautiful character in Atticus. And getting heart, I guess you got to tap into some sad stuff, happy stuff. You got to let it out, let it all unravel, let it be the path on which you travel, which is Michael Leunig. But I don't know. Over to you, Andrew. I'm going to start crying or something.
And I think Stephen's. I really like that Stephen said that, because I suppose what we're trying to do is we're trying to write a fun story, but we also want to write a story that when you read it, you go, oh man, that could be me. So when you're writing your stories, if you can get a character to get to the point where they're at the end of their tether, I don't know what to do next, then what your reader is going to do. So this is your mum or your dad or whoever you'd like, your favorite football player. Don't forget to tell us who you want to read your stories. That person, when they read it, they go, oh, you should do this. You should read, no, don't give up. It's just, you know what I mean? So don't be afraid to try something a little bit emotional and a little bit scary within yourself, because it's actually a really fantastic place to go as a writer. Yeah. And you guys are now old enough to actually do that, and surprise your teachers and your parents. They'll love it. I promise. They will love it.
So we've talked a lot and we've had some amazing advice and insight there. What challenges are you going to leave with the kids around Australia today? Oh,
okay. Well, that we've done the ship, and you've seen and we've seen some storms and things like that. I'd like to know where the treasure is buried. I would literally like you to say, so we know they're on a ship. I'd like to know where the treasure is buried and what tools they will need to get it. Okay. Now, is it up high or is it down low? Will you need ladders and ropes? Will you need a crowbar to move boulders? Will you need a spade to get it? And then once you can get it, what is it? Because this is what Stephen and I have talked about for hours, and we never worked out. I know what it is. I know what it is now because we've finished, but I'd like to know what you think it is and where it is.
Okay. There you go. So you have control, and we want to see that through your words and through your drawings as well. And then put them on the Story Starter wall, and Andrew and Stephen will both be able to read and see your work, and maybe even see if the ideas are better than yours.
Yeah. Well, I know for a fact they are. I already know, because you've got better imaginations than we do. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, it's hard for old people like us to stay like this. It's pretty good. really we're just searching for what you already have. That's,
So what are you drawing here, Stephen? Before we go to questions, what is this Atticus?
yeah, I'm just scribbling away. So I was thinking Andrew was thinking about taking lots of things, so I just drawing an Atticus, but I'm going to give him some stuff. I haven't thought. That was Andrew's word, stuff.
That's the word.
Stuff.
Stuff. Good work.
Things.
While you're doing that, Stephen, there's a couple of questions coming through. So, and there was a couple sent in before. So from Warrawee Public School, how do you create a balance between funny and realistic in your stories? And then how does Stephen portray that?
So I think if you can make things as real, because the real things that happen are the funniest. You know, like you see shows like Funniest Home Videos or stuff on YouTube, and someone slips over and it's real, then they're often funnier than made up sketches. So it's to sort of go, and sort of get back to that jumping the bike thing. If you were jumping a bike and the bike goes off the jump, and what really could happen, which actually did happen to one of my brothers, is the front wheel fell off. It's hilarious. It was very dangerous, but it's also hilarious. So it's a matter of going, sometimes the real stuff is funny as well, but by the same token, it doesn't have to be funny. It can just be real. Yeah. And real is, that's the good emotions. And then how do you get the balance, Stephen?
I don't know. Look, it's going to sound, just playing, but, I have my, 2,000 roughs of Atticus, and I really just keep mucking around. I think, way back when I worked for Walt Disney, and I used to have to do 120 drawings a week when I worked at Walt Disney, and had a lot of trouble doing that many drawings. But, I mentored some old guy, mentored me, and he said, you can do 400 drawings a week. You just got to bang them out, and you'll know after a while, you'll know when it's not right. And it's true. I draw really fast now from the nervous little guy I was when I started working there. And writing to me is like that. If ever I have a good sentence or a good idea or a dumb idea, I write it down. And then writing to me is, you can sit around and go, how am I ever going to write this chapter? But the truth is, to write a chapter might only take, a bit longer than reading a chapter if you're really pumped. And to write a book, you can really get in there and you can write 1,000 chapters, which sounds really crazy. And you might only use 25. But as long as you keep it fun, as long as you're exploring and you're discovering things, and if you're chucking things out, they're just like rotten apples that you don't want to eat anyhow. And maybe they're good apples, but you go, oh no, I've got a bit of a stomach problem, can't eat apples today. So it's, and eventually you come up with stuff, but part of it is not being scared of it, just diving and believing you can do it.
Stephen's a classic for his picture books. So if you've read any of his picture books, they're beautiful. They're all from the heart. They're really gorgeous. So again, don't be afraid to, you have to get rid of some things to get to the really beautiful stuff. And that's what he does the best.
Yeah. We've got a couple more questions. We are running over time a little bit. So we understand if you need to go, and this obviously will be available as the recorded workshop. But there are a couple more questions, so we will finish off. This one, I want to know this one as well. This is from Emerald Primary School. How did you come up with the name Atticus Fantasticus?
Atticus Fantasticus because Atticus rhymes with Fantasticus. I love the name Atticus because there's a great literary history with the name. And I love the thought of a kid standing there going, what's your name, son? And he goes, and he puts his legs aside, he plants his hands on his hips, and he goes, Atticus Fantasticus. And that's it. I just, that's it. I just love I love the poetry of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask one more question of each of you that's just come through. What were your favourite books when you were kids?
Stephen, what's your favourite book as a kid?
Books. Look, I was asked this a while ago, and I think there was a book by Randolph Stowe. I'm actually thinking I want to contact whoever's got the rights to it. I'd love to illustrate it, but it's called Midnight. It's about a bushranger, Australian bushranger who has a cat. There you go. I'm going to go there. Then there'd be a whole lot of Dr. Seuss, and there'd be Where the Wild Things Are. But yeah, it was great. I read it to my kids when they were young. And yeah, it's in that kind of Atticus, Tasticus world. So yeah, anyhow, over to you. That's my favourite book, Midnight. I think it's like 1960 something it was written, but it's a great story.
What about you, Andrew? Favourite book?
Mum and Dad bought me a book called Nobody Listens to Andrew. True. About a kid and there's a bear asleep on his bed and he goes, "There's a bear on my bed." And the neighbour goes, "No, there isn't." Everyone says, "No, there isn't." And it turns out there was, and he was right and whatever. But it was fun. It was a fun book and my name was in the title. So I think that was part of it. Yeah. And then when I got a bit older, there was it's an older book. So it's a teenage book, but that was Then, This Is Now, which sort of taught me about relationships and when, you know, two best friends together and then they might separate and go, you know, this friend meets someone else and leaves this friend and this, you know, so, and that's when all that emotional sort of stuff I learned about that. And that's when I learned that books were just something that can touch you in here whilst also entertaining you. All
right, one final question and then we're going to have to wrap it up. This is to each of you again. What made you not give up writing and illustrating? What stopped you from giving up when it got hard?
Because the reward is the best. That when you persevere and you break through the thing of not knowing what to do next, and then something happens and you show someone or you tell someone and you see their face change and go, "Oh my God." Or, you know, like the fact that some of you would even read that Atticus books and get a laugh out of it. And oh my God, that's like a gift from heaven. Yeah. It really is a gift from heaven. So I love it. And picture books, to write a book that a child might have at bedtime and, you know, like last book before sleep is, and once you realize that the words and with beautiful pictures can make something good and make the world a better place, but regardless of who it's by, then you sort of go, wow, I want to be involved in that. And your stories, I promise you, your stories will change the lives of your parents and your grandparents and the people who care about you, because they'll see things in your mind and they'll read them and go, my God, wow, don't you think? Yeah. Like it's true. I promise you it's true. I promise you. So please keep writing. Steve, how about you?
Okay, there's a Dr. Frankenstein element there too, where you create a character, and then creating a character is something, but then bringing it to life feels so good. Yeah, like what you say, when you created something that is really just pencil, paper, it might be digital, might be, but people read it and they cry or they laugh. Like it's so good. It's mixing chemicals, isn't it? I love it too. I can't wait to see book 3. I'm so, why am I living on an island that I don't have book 3 yet?
It looks really good. It looks really good. Well, yeah. And the end, oh my God. The final illustration's amazing.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. What an amazing experience to see the two of you working together and get a bit of insight. Incredible to watch you draw, Stephen. Really, it's really inspiring. And I know you've inspired lots of people watching you today. Stephen and Andrew want to see your writing. They want to see your ideas for the plot. What's going to happen next? Where's the treasure? How are they going to get it? So make sure you're uploading that to the Story Starter wall so that Andrew and Stephen can see that and enjoy your work, and they get to have fun and wonder what's going to happen next.